Good evening and welcome to the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. It is our 2026 version and we are on day 5. We're reading a little late tonight, but we're on day 5. We made it here and it is Adventure Day. And I'm wearing my hat in remembrance of my very first trip out of the country. Was out of the country? Out of the country. At least my very first trip to Paris. And so to remind me that life is an adventure and there are plenty of ways to have an adventure. You can have an adventure in cooking. You can have an adventure, um, traveling. You can have anything can become an adventure. I remember we were having a family trip. I was working in Oklahoma and my family came to visit. And my niece at the time must have been about 6 or so. And so we were getting, excuse me, we were getting ready to eat. We were about to dine at this restaurant, and my niece was looking at the menu and she's like, yeah, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that. And so I asked her a question. I said, do you want to have what you always have, you can have at home, or do you want an adventure? And the adventure, what we were talking about, these goat cheese balls with honey and some other things on them, which are absolutely delicious. And she sat there for a moment, and I could tell we could all tell she was like pondering, like, really? And she said, I'll take the adventure. And so she thoroughly enjoyed those goat cheese balls, and she has been a foodie ever since. So that is, so this is in honor of being taking an adventure. And so our selection tonight um, is from, it is day 5. And I'm sorry, I'm skipping my sentence, with my sentences. It is day 5, and it is Adventure Day here at the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. And our selection for today on this wonderful day 5 in year 6 of Tigbrad, our selection for today is The Home Place, Memoirs of a Colored Man's Love Affair with Nature. And we're going to put up our cover for this as we do, and so that you can see this before we begin reading. And we are um, excited about these these all these books that we read. We say it and we mean it, that the reason that we are here giving voice to words written by Black people all around the world is because we want to encourage the exploration, the purchase, and reading of books written by Black people. And this is very important because books are important, bookstores are important. And so we're excited about what we do here at the International Great Black Read Aloud Day. We read to help you see all the different things out there written by Black people. And so tonight we are reading from The Home Place, Memoirs of a Colored Man's Love Affair with Nature by J. Drew Lanham. And it is for our adventure category. It's an introduction of himself, and then we'll flip to part of one of the chapters. I prefer to be true to myself, even at the hazard of incurring the ridicule of others, rather than to be false and incur my own abhorrence. And that's from Frederick Douglass in his book, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass. I am a man in love with nature. I am an eco addict, consuming everything that the outdoors offers in its all you can sense seasonal buffet. I am a wildling, born of forests and fields and more comfortable on unpaved back roads and winding woodland paths than in any place where concrete, asphalt, and crowds prevail. In my obsession, I celebrate myself and sing myself, living Walt Whitman's exaltations, rolling and reveling in all that nature lays before me. I am an ornithologist, wildlife ecologist, and college professor. I am a father, husband, son, and brother. I hope to some I am a friend. I bird, I hunt, I gather. I am a seeker and a noticer. I am a lover. My being finds its foundation in open places. I'm a man of color, African American by politically correct convention, mostly black by virtue of ancestors who trod ground in Central and West Africa before being brought to foreign shores. In me, there is additionally an inkling of Irish, a bit of Brit, a smidgen of Scandinavian, and some American Indian, Asian, and Neanderthal tossed in too. But that's only part of the whole. There is also the red of miry clay, plowed up and planted to pass a legacy forward. There is the brown of spring floods rushing over a Savannah River shoal. There is the gold of ripening tobacco drying in the heat of summer's last breath. There are endless rows of cotton's cloudy white. My plumage is a kaleidoscopic rainbow of an eternal hope, and the deepest blue of despair and darkness. All of these hues are me. I am, in the deepest sense, colored. I am as much a scientist as I am a black man. My skin defines me no more than my heart does. But somehow my color often casts my love affair with nature in shadow. Being who and what I am doesn't fit the common calculus. I am the rare bird, the oddity, appreciated by some for my different perspective, and discounted by others as an unnecessary nuisance, an unusually colored fish out of water. But in all my time wondering, I've yet to have a wild creature question my identity. Not a single cardinal or orphan bird has ever paused in dawn song declaration to ask the reason for my being. White-tailed deer seem just as put off by my hunter friends' whiteness as they are by my blackness. Responses in forests and fields are not born of any preconceived notions of what should be. They lie only in the fact that I am. Each of us so much more than a pigment that orders us into convenient compartments of occupation, avocation, or behavior. It's easy to default to expectation, but nature shows me a better, wilder way. I resist the easy path and claim the implausible, indecipherable, and unconventional. What is wildness? To be wild is to be colorful, and in the claims of colorfulness, there is an embracing and a self acceptance. We scientists are trained to be comfortable with the multiple questions that each new revelation may elicit, like sweet gum trees, which find a way to survive in the face of every attempt to exclude them. The questions we ask are persistent resprouts, largely uncontrollable. There really aren't hard and fast answers to most questions, though. Wildness means living in the unknown. Time is teaching me to extend the philosophies of science to life, to accept the mystery and embrace the next query as an opportunity for another quest. I find solace, inspiration, and exhilaration in nature. Issues there are boiled down to the simplest imperative: survive. Sometimes my existence seems to hang in the balance of challenges, professional and personal, external and eternal. What allows me to survive day to day is having nature as my guide. But I worry as the survival of many of the wild things and places themselves seems increasingly uncertain. Called by something deep inside, I have joined with kindred wondering watchers and ecologically enlightened spiritists in the mission to keep things whole. After all my years of being the scientist, idea generator, objective data gatherer, I yearn for more than statistical explanations. My colleagues and I have mostly done a poor job of reaching the hearts and minds of those who don't hold advanced degrees with an ology at the end. We take a multidimensional array of creatures, places, and interwoven lives and boil them down into the flat pages and prose of obscure journals most will never read. Those tomes are important, but the sin is in leaving the words to die there, pressed between the pages. As knowledge molders in the stacks, the public goes on largely uninformed about the wild beings and places that should matter to all of us. Science's tendency to make the miraculous mundane is like replacing the richest artistry with paint by nimber portraits. In the current climate of scientific sausage making, grinding data through complex statistical packages, and then encasing it in a model that often has little chance of real world implementation, we are losing touch. How inspiring is the output that prescribes some impossible task? How practical is it? We must rediscover the art and conservation and reorient toward doing and not talking. And so we are going to move over to the chapter that's titled The Home Place. Home is a place we all must find, child. It's not just a place where you eat or sleep. Home is knowing from the whiz. It was home, Edgefield, South Carolina, a small county on the western edge of the Palmetto State. The county's name is well earned, with its western flank tucked tightly against the banks of the once mighty but now dammed Savannah River. On the edge, ecologically between upstate and the low country, Edgefield contains an incredible natural wealth of mountain, Piedmont, and coastal plain. Among South Carolina's 46 counties, Edgefield is not large, covering only some 500 square miles. The political boundaries drawn by human hands give it the appearance on maps of a cartoonish chicken's head. Its squared off comb to the north, huge triangular beak pointing east toward the Atlantic, and shortened neck jutting to the southwest. Nature sketched the westward boundary where Stevens and Turkey Creeks skirt along the raggedy rear of the Bird's Head and form the long border with McCormick County. Surrounded by Piedmont places to the north, Greenwood, McCormick, Saluda, and Aiken, an upper coastal plain county to the south, Edgefield is a transition zone. Is a transition zone, with each of the imaginary poultry's portions harboring ecological treasures. Growing up near the Bird's Scrawny Neck in the south central part of the county, only a few miles of the Savannah River, and an equidistant stone's throw from the sprawl of North Augusta and the sleepy town of Edgefield, I was privy to the beauty and diversity of a spot most ignore. Edgefield is many places rolled into one. With the exception of saltwater and high peaks, there's not much that can't be found there. Droughty sand holds onto remnant stands of longleaf pine and stunted turkey, oaks in the southern and eastern extremes where the upper coastal plain peters out. In the soggy bottoms along many of the rivers and creeks, rich alluvial soils grow splotchy bark sycamores and warty hackberries to girths so big that two large men joined hand to hand can't reach around them. A few buttressed bald cypresses draped in Spanish moss sit in tea-stained sloughs. Between the extremes of wet and dry, high and low, even the sticky clay nourishes a surprising variety of hardwoods, slow grounding upland oaks and tight green, tough as nail hickories grow alongside fast rising tulip poplars and opportunistic sweet gum. And the understory redbud and dogwood trees sit in the shade of the dominants, blooming briefly in spring before the canopy closes with green overhead. Loblolly pine, the sylvan savior of southern soil, is everywhere. A tree that grows best in moist bottomlands. It climbed the hills out of the swamps with some help from human hands and colonized the eroding lands. Loblolly is a fast grower that stretches tall and mostly straight in forests that have been touched occasionally by fire and saw. In open stands, where the widely spaced trees grow with broom sedge and Indian grass waving underneath, bob white quail, boxman sparrows, and a bevy of other wildlife can find a place to call home. But where flames and forestry have excluded, spiny trees fight with one another for sun and soil and will grow thick like the hair on a dog's back. In those impenetrable stands, white-tailed deer find secure bedrooms, but little else dwells. Most of the county sits in the lower Piedmont. This Midlands province stretches like a belt, canted southwest to northeast, across the South's thickened waste, torn apart first by agriculture, then by unbridled development. The fragmented middle sits between the more spectacular coastal plain and the mountains. Coastward, you'll find black water swamps, brackish marshes, and disappearing cathedrals of longleaf pine that hide species both common and rare. Red cockaded red cockaded woodpeckers, diamondback rattlesnakes, and gopher tortoises hang on in some places where the longleaf persists. Painted buntings splash color across the coastal scrub, and alligators bellow and rebound in nimbers among wading wood storks. Northward, the most southern Appalachians are bounded by the escarpment the Cherokee called the Blue Wall. The place not so long ago called the Dark Corner still stirs the imagination as gorges rush wild and cool with white water, and a few persistent brook trout linger in hidden pools. Moist coves crowded with canopies of hardwood sit below, and among a few granite monoliths that folks flock to see. Within the memory of a 300-year-old poplar, this was the back country, a wilderness with panthers, elk, and wood bison roaming cane brakes and rhododendron hills. Now, peregrine falcons and common ravens patrol the skies while black bears grow fat on Allegheny blackberries and the easy pickings in exclusive gated communities. Sitting on either flank of the broad and broken Piedmont, the mountains and the coast harbor opportunities for wildness that the worn out region in between has lost to easy progress. But Edgefield County, caught in the middle of all the apparent mediocrity of the Piedmont, is yet a hidden gem, a source of biodiversity that is easy to pass on the way to someone else. There are still priceless places where nature hangs on by tooth, talon, and tendril. Most of Edgefield is rural. There are trees everywhere, though most of them reside on private lands where there is a priority set on pines over pavement. Significant portions of the Sumter National Forest Lone Cane Ranger District lie in the county, excuse me, providing a public providing public access to places where nature is the first consideration. Farming and forestry provide diversity within the tree dominated matrix. I grew up in the southwestern outreaches of the county in a ragged 200-acre Forest Service in holding. From heaven, or from a high flying bird's viewpoint, I imagine it looked like a hole punched into the Lone Cane Ranger District. That gap in the wilderness was my home place. And that is part of our selection for adventure, and it is the home place memoirs of a colored man's love affair with nature. And I have to say that as a country girl, I am familiar with any number of black men who prefer the outdoors to the indoors, and they prefer hunting and fishing and all those other things that outdoorsmen do. And so sometimes it's a little rare to what they think about. But today is Adventure Day. So if you are looking for something to do in life, be a risk taker. Take a risk, do something different. Have an adventure, whether that venture is food, whether it is travel, whether it is doing something that others simply suppose you shouldn't do. Life is a journey, but it also is an adventure. So it's an adventurous journey. And our selection today for day 5 of the um, adventure, the International Great Black Read Aloud Day, our selection for today has been The Home Place, Memoirs of a Colored Man's Love Affair with Nature. Um, and we hope you have enjoyed some of our selection for today. And we will see you back tomorrow for another selection as we read aloud. And we are really thankful and we love what we do. And we're glad that you tune in and that you watch. We hope that you share because it's important. Reading is so important, and there's really not much you can do when you can't read. It makes life very difficult, and so here at the International Great Black Read Aloud Day, along with our partner, Fresh Book Festival. We really want to work and make sure that reading is a legacy, right? Literacy is a legacy. And so that's what we work towards. And tomorrow we'll see you on day 6, excuse me, which is contemporary. And so we thank you for listening today. Have a wonderful night. It was a late read tonight, but that's the way the day went today. And so we just make sure we try to get it in before 11:59 p.m. And so, whenever you're listening to this and wherever you are when you're listening, we hope that you live a life full of adventure. Take that trip to Paris. Take that trip to Canada. Take that trip to Seattle. Take that trip to Argentina. Take that trip wherever you want to do. Try that different food. Cook that dish. Go on that date. There's so much to do in life that will keep you on your toes. So have an adventure. Hear from us at the International Great Black Read Aloud Day 2026. This closes day 5 adventure. Have a good night. Oh, hold on one second. Let me get that.